everybody, it's Jerry, and today I'm going to show you how to make an Italian pastry called Crostata Arlecchino. And it's basically a pastry that's got a lot of different fillings, different flavors, different colors, and it's really visually appealing. It's not that hard to make, but it is a lot of work, so let's get started. We're going to start out by making the fillings, and the first one I'm going to make is the orange filling. So I'm going to take one orange, which has had any seeds removed, and we're just putting it in a food processor with the skin, with a cup of water, and just going to process that until it's all smooth. And then we're going to pour that into a saucepan and cook that over low heat for about 40 minutes. While that's cooking, we can go on to our raspberry filling. So I'm going to take 1 pint of raspberries in a food processor. Just grind that to a liquid. And then we're going to strain out the seeds. So we're going to pour it into a strainer. And just keep stirring it with a spoon, which will kind of push all of the liquid through the strainer, and we'll be left with just the seeds. And then we're going to add a 1/4 cup of agave and just cook that down until it gets to a syrupy consistency. And we're going to do pretty much the same process with our blueberry filling. So we're going to take a pint of blueberries in a food processor. And just liquefy that. And then pour that into a saucepan. And again, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of agave and mix that together. And that will also get cooked down until it's a syrupy consistency. So our raspberry is ready now, and we're just going to cook the blueberry until it's also kind of syrupy. It's going to thicken when it cools, so you don't want to go too far with cooking it. Now, after the orange has been cooked for the 40 minutes, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of sugar and a 1/4 cup of water, and just continue cooking that for another 10 to 15 minutes. And it'll get a little bit more sort of golden in color and thicken up a little bit. If it gets too thick, you can add a little water to it. Now we're going to make our crust by taking a 1/2 cup of vegan butter with a 1/4 cup of sugar and cream that together. And then we're going to add a 1/2 cup of brown rice flour, a 1/2 cup of millet flour, a 1/2 cup of tapioca flour, and a 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum. Mix that together. And then we're going to add a 1/4 cup of water. And just mix that up until it comes together to form a dough, and then you can start working it with your hands and just knead it for a bit until it gets smooth and even. And then we're going to take around half the dough and use that for our bottom crust. So we're going to press that into an 8 by 8 inch pan, which has been sprayed with oil, and just push it evenly onto the bottom of the pan and then prick holes with a fork. Now we're going to take a piece of wax paper and flour it with some tapioca flour, and take the remaining dough and just roll it in the flour as well, and then press it onto the wax paper. And then we're going to place another piece of wax paper on top and roll it out to around a 1/4 inch thickness, maybe a little bit less than a 1/4 of an inch, somewhere between 1/8 of an inch and a 1/4 inch. And then remove the top paper. And then we're going to cut it into thin strips, which we're going to lay diagonally across the pan over the bottom crust. And it's okay if they break, you can just piece them together because this is all going to get covered up anyway. So we're going to start with one across the center diagonal, and then 2 more on either side. And once you lay them down, you can just go and even them out and make sure they're nice and straight. And then we're going to lay strips across the opposite diagonal and also around the outer edges. Now we're going to take our filling, and we can make any design we want and just put different fillings inside the different diamond shapes and triangles. You can also experiment with other flavors and other colors. And now we're going to just take some small shapes. In this case, I'm using hexagons, but you could use little circles or other shapes. And I'm just going to lay them on top of the existing strips. Just make a nice design. And then we're going to bake this at 350 degrees for 30 minutes. And there we have our final product, and when it's cooled, we can serve it. Thanks everybody for watching, and please tune in next time for some more great recipes. And as always, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.